Am I a good boy? I don't know anymore. Used to be a good boy, and now I don't know anymore. Used to get petty pat and walkie in the park. Now I get told shh when I make very nice boy. You're a good boy.
Opera dog. I love it.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a very good boy. He doesn't mean any trouble.
No.
Yeah, you know, huskies loved. They're like so close to being wolves.
Yes, they are. They
You
are.
know, it's like they're those and Malamutes. Is that right? The Malamute is
I'm
also.
not sure. I just know they're extremely intelligent dogs.
Background looks a little odd. Okay. Pull this back.
Nah,
There
the
we go.
background looks lovely.
Look, it's a little smoky back there. Anyway, how have you been? Was your weekend? Everything good?
Everything's good. Everything's good. I'm just working on a lot of projects right now, a lot of art commissions, and I've been doing some readings for people and working for you and loving life and dealing with a heat wave right now. We got
Really?
another heat wave here in Los Angeles.
Oh wow!
And it brought along its friend, high humidity. So it's been
what a
really
nightmare.
muggy.
What a
And
nightmare.
it's so muggy, we're supposed to actually get a rainstorm tomorrow. At least there's a chance of it.
Well, that would be nice. What's the temperature over there?
Well, let me take a look at my phone here after I just
You
said.
look a little bit
that.
clamped. You look a little bit clamped.
Do I look a little verklempt? It is.
You look hot. You look very red.
I'm hot. I'm hot. It's very muggy right now. It's the humidity. But according to my phone, it's only 86 degrees, and it feels a hell of a lot hotter than 86
Well,
degrees.
you're high up, so you might be taking in more heat than that.
Well, I am. I'm in an upstairs apartment. It's a 1941 building. So this is basically
I know
like
where you
living.
live.
It's like living in an attic. Yeah, all the heat rises up. So
Where you make that amazing carrot cake, and I got like my little Anne Frank serving.
I gave you a big piece of carrot cake.
Maybe I think the second time you did. The first time you had to dish it out to like 20 people.
That was the reason, because if you recall, I made that cake for everyone at work. And by the time I cut enough slices, I think everyone was getting something so transparent you could hold it up to the light and see through it. That's really probably good. What you had.
It's the best carrot cake I've ever eaten in my life, by the way.
It is incredible.
I was ready to get violent for that. Give me another slice.
Well, it was my mother's. It was my mother's recipe, and I understand it goes back to the 1920s. But you look at the recipe, it's deceptively simple looking. But anybody who's ever made a carrot cake knows it is a lot of work. You know, you got to grind the carrots, and you got to chop the nuts, and you got to make the frosting and everything. And my kitchen always, no matter how careful I am, my kitchen always looks like a bomb went off. It looks like Hiroshima when I'm done.
Are they grated from hand? Are they grated from hand?
I do have a food processor.
That makes it a lot easier.
That makes it a little easier, but it's still time consuming. It's about 3 hours to make a cake.
Yeah. So who's with us, Chuck? Let's go ahead and turn the
Let's
camera
see
around. Who's
who
decided
is
to hang out?
with us today. We have Tina.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. We have Gigi Pardo Lord. As I mentioned, Terry. We have PP Dros 428. I hope I said that correctly. Gloria, Angelina Delgado, just M. Intuitive Kathy, our fabulous Joel Tilson is here. Jess Marie 84, Rockin' Pony Lady, Michelle Lynn. See, I'm trying not to repeat some names here. Edita, did I say that right? Oh, it's been a member for 2 months.
Edita Marciano, welcome.
Of course, let's see. Anne, Renee. I think I said Rockin' Pony Lady at least once here. Let's try and find some other names here. Leslie Ann. Sugar Baby's mama. Yeah, people pick some great names here.
We will keep saying hi to people as we go. So, Chuck.
Yeah.
Chucky Boo.
Yes, Whimsy Boo.
Yes. How are you liking the amazing book of our
book
club? You know, she's going to be here next Tuesday. So
exactly.
If you want to be part of our book club, you got to hurry up and order it as soon as possible.
Trying to, because mine is on a Kindle, I was trying to be very slick and pull it up. I couldn't do it too quickly. But yes, I have it. And I'm looking forward to this interview very much next week.
You know what I like about this book? These are all the strange things that happen to us, you know, strange dreams that seem prophetic, people that we meet, the things that she gets into in the book have you ever met anyone and they seemed very familiar to you, as if you've known them from previous lifetimes?
I'm looking at one of those people right now as we speak.
Me? Oh, yes. You felt like you knew me when you first
Of course, didn't you?
I felt very comfortable with you right away.
Exactly. No, I have these experiences all the time. I mean, you know, my sister and I, we're 14 years apart in age. We were barely raised together, and we had long years where we were apart, but we are so much alike. And we know we've had many past lives together. I felt that with you.
Yeah, so the soul is big. I think that's the point that Sylvia is saying in her, that the soul is very, very big and
expansive,
much bigger than our conscious awareness.
Yeah.
Much bigger than our conscious awareness. So we are much bigger than who we think we are. And to really challenge how we contain ourselves and to live a big, big life, to live a really big, big life. And she gets into this idea of there really is a reason why we are attracted to certain people, but there is it isn't just, oh, he's cute, he reminds me of, you know, whatever.
No, it goes much deeper than that.
Yeah, there's more to this. Yeah. And then she talks about these dreams. Has anybody here ever had reoccurring dreams? Have you ever had a dream that goes over and over and over again, where you find yourself in a place? For example, I had a series every night. I was dreaming about Paul Simon. I'm a huge fan of Paul Simon.
I know. We went to a concert together at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, Chuck's friends had some extra tickets, and they were kind enough to. Nobody's Perfect is the name of their YouTube channel, by the way. I'm sorry, what are their names?
Stephanie Hunter and Tammy Hunter.
I think they were the ones that gave us the tickets.
They gave us the tickets, yes.
So for whatever reason, they were not able to attend.
They weren't able to go.
And they were kind enough to gift me one of those tickets. And what an amazing experience that was. It was at the Hollywood Bowl. And so I grew up listening to his music, and I always felt a very special connection to his music, etc. So you could argue that there's a psychological element when we have these reoccurring dreams. But then there's a metaphysical aspect where you have to ask yourself, and this is the real question to ask yourself, where are your dreams coming from if you are not consciously aware that you're creating them? If your conscious self is not creating them, then who is creating your dreams?
I think it comes from a great collective body, from another source, from the other side. I think that's where all genius comes from, talent comes from. When I'm doing my readings, I've had different messages on the show from different celebrities. I'm just tuning in and listening to that other side as it's coming into me, and it's very quiet, it's very subtle, much like a dream can be when we're in our state of sleep. I think when we're in that sleep state, we're just more receptive to it. I do it more in a meditative state when I do it consciously. But you were talking about the soul being expansive. That's exactly what I feel when I'm tuning into souls in the other side. Like, it's just so much bigger once they are released from their physical bodies, like the confines of their bodies. They can be their full expansive self. And I've found that on the other side, it's possible for souls, at least this is what they tell me, they can be in different places with different people all at the same time. Like when I channel Lucille Ball, I say this to all of you, hundreds of you can channel her also, and she can be expansive enough to be with you.
Because her consciousness is no longer bound by a body.
Exactly.
But there's also this idea that the conscious self, that is Whimsy, that is Mark, that is Sugar Baby's mama, Anna, Joel, is a construct of the brain. And then when the brain dies, we're no longer bound by this construct. We're bigger than that. Yeah. So what she gets into is these things that begin to happen to us that make us see ourselves in other places. Another example would be people that undergo, they start to take ayahuasca, also known as the vine of the dead, or DMT, the DMT trip. So the DMT, we're pretty sure that we're pretty sure that DMT is produced inside of our own brains, right? So DMT is smoked, the persons leave this world and they enter into another world that is just as real as this world, but it's a psychedelic world. And but what's interesting is that when people go into a DMT state, they feel many times that they have been there before. Well, I've been here before. I've had this experience before. And that's what's really interesting about the DMT experience.
Do you think, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I was just going to say, do you think people actually go to the other side, to the spirit world, or at least touch the outer realm of it? When you said that feeling like I've been here before, the familiarity.
Well, that's the thing about DMT. And then there are people that get locked out of it. They get banned from the DMT realm. And the reason that they get banned from the DMT realm is because they're abusing DMT. They may be like, I want to have a trip, so I'm going to do some DMT. And they go to this other realm where they meet beings that seem awfully familiar. And sometimes the beings it's like a circus. Hey, and yay, you made it. You made it to the other side. And then the person says, wow, everybody was so familiar. And I was this other being, and they were all green and blue, and they existed on another planet. And so again, it goes back to this theme of familiarity, or are we existing in multiple realms simultaneously? And here's a little snippet that I thought I would share with people. It's only 2 minutes long, that goes into this idea of what are we experiencing? We know that the brain produces DMT, and it's possible that DMT could be released by our brains at the time of death, and that these drugs act as a portal to allow us to enter into other realms. So just this is about 2 minutes, 43 seconds here.
All of a sudden I was no longer there. Like I was just completely not on planet Earth. I couldn't move. All I could do was just stare directly into the eyes of this thing. I became interested in DMT by hearing Terence McKenna's talks. He's an ethnobotanist and a philosopher, and he would talk about smoking DMT and meeting the alien. I just was super intrigued. The first time I smoked DMT, I couldn't quite break through, as they say, because I couldn't get that third hit. Because by the time I was going to try to take the third hit, the pipe actually was like 7 feet long. At least it appeared that way. With the help of somebody else, I was able to get the third hit and break through. It was pretty scary, to be honest. I mean, there was this loud zinging sound, and then all of a sudden I was no longer there. Like I was just completely not on planet Earth. I just remember this like single beam of white light kind of shooting from the top and going all the way down. It sort of felt like it went through to infinity from top to bottom. And there was this giant architectural, fractalized, multicolored being with a face the size of a skyscraper. It was just looking me dead in the face. I couldn't move. All I could do was just stare directly into the eyes of this thing. It didn't speak, but it communicated telepathically. So I could hear what it was thinking. It projected its thoughts into my mind and it said, "How did you get here?" I couldn't respond because I didn't have a mouth. The next thing it said, "There's no use in you being here, so we'll just have to wait." And all I could do was just stare directly in its eyes in silence and wait. And the world slowly dissolved and I came back to reality, no longer face to face with this giant alien being. All right, guys, so that's it for my DMT story. I just want to be clear that I don't condone or encourage the use of DMT.
Oh, right. So it goes back to the conversation that we're having about what is real, what is consciousness, and who are we, are we bound by our body, and can we enter into other dimensions? And those are all of the things that gets talked about in the book. Maybe next time around.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Chuck?
Oh, I'm just thinking this is going to be one hell of an interview next week. I'm going to have trouble paring down my questions. You might also. I mean, there are just so many realms we can go into here. This is a subject we're both fascinated with and we both utilize. I mean, don't you feel like when you're doing your intuitive readings, card readings, you're tapping into a source like this also?
I think that this idea of twin souls or soulmates, or she gets into that in the book, and there's people that are so familiar to us that they are people that perhaps we have contracted with in order to enter into this dimension for the purpose, from a Kabbalist believe that soulmates are real and that it's very vital to your mission that you work out that relationship. That Sarah had Abraham, that Isaac had, Rebecca, that this idea that you have certain souls that you have karma with, you're here, you've got a spacesuit on, your skin's of leather, you've carnated here for a reason, you're here to do a job. Now, it's very specific. You have a period of time where you're learning, you're building your family or your tribe. Sometimes it's your biological children. Sometimes it's helping to take care of other people's children. Sometimes, but you have a soul tribe you have to establish a relationship with, learn how to get along and play nice with other people. You go through a prolonged period of learning. Most of it's basic stuff, how to get a job, etc. That's the first 40 years. And then after age 40, sometimes you can skip class and go ahead, but usually by time 40, you're looking at the esoteric and the metaphysical stuff, which is Kabbalah. And then by the time you hit 70, that's a critical point also, because that is the point that you have to begin to prepare the legacy for the next generation.
Wow. That's quite a way of putting it, preparing the legacy for the next generation.
Right, or what's
our
called,
responsibilities.
Yeah, an example would be Rabbi Akiva, when he created his school of thought, or Rabbi Hillel, when he created his school. Supposedly Jesus was a student of Hillel, which was about service. But that you had Rabbi Hillel and who was the other rabbi? Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shimon? No, it wasn't Shimon. But you had two rabbis. One was just the law and legal scholars, writers, and the other was more metaphysical. And Hillel was metaphysical. So you had two main competing universities in Jerusalem. And there are references to the Talmud that Jesus attended Hillel's school, which was more esoteric rather than the more, was it Shammai? Hillel and Shammai, I think it is. He didn't want to go into, he didn't want to be a lawyer, you know. Who does, right? Some people do. But so the point is that then you go through, you know, then you get married, you have your family, you know, you have these set points in your life. Like I said, 40 is when you get to dabble in more metaphysical, deeper consequences, often because your kids are getting older, you have a little bit more free, hopefully you have some free time on your hand. But 70 is that critical point when you should have had your book written. You should have had your university, if, you know, or your school of thought. It doesn't have to be an actual physical university, but your school of thought you have to be ready to get your legacy out, because if we don't, you're coming back again. And the reason you're coming back again, because you're not here for your own entertainment. I mean, yeah, it's fun. You know, we fall in love, we have these experiences, and we become very self-absorbed. But there comes a point in the playground of life between 70 and 90, I think is what the Talmud says, when you have got to begin to document your life, write your biography, write your tomb, your great book, and get the teachings out, because you yourself may not think that your work is important, but it's very damn important. And if you don't document
everybody's work is important,
and everybody, your teachings and what you have learned, you have betrayed the next generation, because they're going to have to start from scratch. They don't have the philosophers, they don't have the guidance, particularly people that grew up without family or anybody to guide them. And so getting your legacy out there, completing that work, it should be vital to you by age 70.
You know, this is so fascinating.
It's pedal to the metal, as we say, when you're 70.
Well, this is so fascinating to me personally. You know, I just had a 65th birthday a couple of months ago. And around this time, I have been, you know, this is the age where people supposedly start slowing down. I feel more like I'm a 21-year-old. And I've got all these projects and all these things I've wanted to do. Basically, my legacy that I haven't accomplished yet.
Yes, you have to do that urgency you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm feeling that urgency right now.
You're on that timeline the Talmud talks about.
Because I am just driven beyond belief right now. I'm like from morning until night, working constantly on projects right now, and writing and my art and my readings and what have you. All these things I've always said I was going to do that I never got around to doing. And you just nailed it. I feel such an urgency. Like I have to do this before. I'm not going to say I'm going to die soon. I may live to be 100.
No, you go from 70 to 90 building your legacy. And then after 90, you go into your philosopher years.
Yeah, but I feel so compelled to make accomplishments right now. That's why I feel more like a 21-year-old right now. I feel more excited about life than I've ever been, more alive.
Yeah, it's a very good time.
In my purpose, you know.
It's a very good time in your life. The good news now is that at 65, you're coalescing your data for what will be your great works, which are going to go from 70 to 90. Now. You can shorten your life with stress. Like it talks about the Talmud, that you're granted 120 years, but stress, you know, like Rabbi Teitelbaum, who lived 107, 110 years. I don't know how long he lived. Yeah. You know, they say he said that his life would be shortened because of the stress from his children. Hey, this one and that marriage and this, you know, like everybody has something that stresses them. And every time we have a stress or a trauma, it takes off 6 months, a year.
Whoa.
A bad marriage, a divorce, children, stress over children, bad nutrition is huge. Radiation exposure, chemical exposure. But you're granted, you start, which is pretty much what DNA is showing us. Our cells can replicate a certain number of times. 110, 120 years is about right. They figured this stuff out 2,000, 3,000 years ago. It's unbelievable.
I'm thinking back to when we used to work together. Remember when we did the hair tests?
Yes.
And we would test.
Terrifying, wasn't it?
Yes, but some of the things in that test would show the effects of radiation from cell phones, from electricity towers, transformers, even things like electric blankets, you know, having all of that covering your body.
And we always knew when someone was flying because it would say radiation exposure, most likely from flying. And the person would say, oh, yeah, I just got back from London. Exactly. So they were up in the air getting radiated because they were above the ozone layer.
Well,
and
also
then
going through
get on their hair. It would get on their hair. They'd be sitting getting radiated for 8 hours. They'd come and get a test. We're like, did you just? And the radiation would be through the roof. We're like, have you been flying? Yeah, it happened a lot, actually.
Oh, we could put together a life story just based on a strand of hair. Remember how the clients would be shocked at how much we were able to tell them?
They're like, how did you know psychic? That? Well, we are, but that's not.
Yeah, but
science. We're just looking at
this was science here.
We could see enough radiated cells.
Yeah, because we would put about 3 strands of hair on a little dish. Didn't you called it like a little miniature MRI?
Yeah, that's right.
I think. And it would send the data to Hamburg, Germany, and then come back to us 15 minutes later with an entire profile. And our job was to be able to read and decipher what was in that report. And do it in front of the
we had a lot of actors, producers, and people that were always flying. That's why we got so much radiation. Because I was told by like people that owned the company and stuff, they're like, we don't get this radiation in regular populations. But they remember when they wanted to know about California, like, why do our patients have so much radiation? Do you remember that?
Yes.
There was something about that where Hamburg was contacting us is like, we're a little bit concerned about all that radiation, like going on in California.
That's right. I forgot about that. They did raise concern.
Like, because your radiation levels were really pretty high in these samples you're sending us. And it was all people who had been flying.
And then we could determine when people had been exposed to a lot of inhaled toxicity and smoke.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
And it would almost always coincide with areas where there would be forest fires here in California. Those people would be living there. We would see that too.
They would see carbon emissions. They would see what was it? Fossil fuels residues. God, that was a sensitive test. I remember that. Yeah, so
I'm just doing those tests.
Well, don't you have? I think I have. You own one of them. I have yours. I'm supposed.
You have mine there.
Do you want it? Do you want it?
I don't love it.
Yeah, it's yours. It doesn't belong to me.
I'd love to get back into this again.
But yeah, they gave me one. They gave you one, and then I had it, and I was like, I think I was supposed to give it to you, and it just wound up in my closet. So, but I figured you don't really do that anymore. I guess you could do it. I mean, you're licensed.
I'm licensed. I'd love to do it again.
Okay, all right.
You've got me interested again. But anyway,
all right. So again, if you're interested in souls, cosmic consciousness, alternate worlds, soulmates, and all of that stuff, then this is the book for you. And as I said, Sylvia Sullivan will be in our studios, and we look forward to seeing her. She'll be here on the 23rd. Okay, next thing we want to talk about, speaking of people passing. Are you aware of the fact that the great and powerful Robert Redford has passed?
Yes, I woke up to the news this morning. There was a bulletin on my phone. First of all, I was surprised to hear that he was 89. You know, he never seemed that old, even in his more recent interviews.
Mm-hmm. He was mostly vegetarian. Mm-hmm.
Really? Well,
I think he had fish. I think he had fish in his diet.
Well, he clearly took very good care of himself. And of course, he lived the majority of his life in the mountains of Utah, you know, much cleaner air, cleaner environment, and also far away from the stress and the turmoil and chaos of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You know, he was apparently anti-Hollywood. That was one of the reasons why he wanted to get out. I don't know. He established the Sundance Film Festival. I was talking with you before the show. It's much like we like to promote independent authors who have published their own books. Well, he was very much about promoting independent filmmakers. And he said, I saw an interview today. He said, I don't give a damn about the money. I don't care about the profits. I just want people to get recognized. I want to get their work seen. And I'm able to do that with my festival.
Let's take a look at what Jane Fonda had to say. I'm sure she, lovely woman and also very health conscious, by the way. But let's hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
Jane Fonda expresses her devastation over the loss of her longtime co-star Robert Redford following the Oscar winner's death on September 16th. Jane tells E! News in a statement, "It hit me hard this morning when I read that Bob was gone. I can't stop crying. He meant a lot to me and was a beautiful person in every way." She adds of the longtime activist, "He stood for an America we have to keep fighting for."
All right, I just want to show a brief of that. I don't want to get in trouble, but just
I met her once.
Yeah, I've met her too. She's a nice lady.
Yeah, very nice, and looked incredible. I met her and she was about 76 or 77, and I was struck by her poise, her carriage, her posture.
Ballet, years of ballet.
Yeah, but she had the body and the movement of a woman half her age.
Thin.
Yeah.
Well, she was thin. I couldn't get over how thin she was. Use it or lose it, honey. I mean, she really took good care of herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are people saying, Chuck? What are people saying
What are
here?
people saying here? Well, this Rebecca didn't know that Robert Redford had died. I guess, a lot of people don't see these bulletins. It was a surprise to me. Let's see. I have to go back here. I'm trying to see if there are other comments about Robert Redford here. I'm not seeing anything offhand. I see some other topics here I can bring up, but Robert Redford, I don't know, Whimsy, did you have a favorite film of his?
Oh, I liked Barefoot in the Park. Speaking
I love it too. I was in that play.
Shama, El Kabafut. It's just a nonsense song that they were singing when they would get nervous.
Yeah.
On the roof. I'm frightened. I want to get off this roof. And she was like, "I'm coming to get you, honey." And just sing the Shama. They had some crazy next door neighbor from Turkey or something, and it was like a children's song. And
I was in the play many years ago. I played his role, and we were doing it in a theater that had defective air conditioning, and it was in July. And a lot of that play takes place in the wintertime, where we have to have coats and scarves on and things. And it was hotter than hell in that theater, and we had sweat dripping down. Woo! I'm so cold. I remember that. But, I think my favorite, and I saw this movie in the theater and I was 13 years old. And I'm a big Streisand fan. This day, love The Way We Were. And
oh my God, me too. I love that movie. That was one of my first crushes.
Hubble, your girl is lovely.
I'm a nice Jewish girl. It was him and Gene Wilder were my first stores of.
I just love that movie, but I love the teaming. You've got two very opposite people. The only other example I can compare that to is The African Queen with Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart, where you had two total opposites and they just had the most electric romantic chemistry together. And Streisand was talking about it in her autobiography, about how they were both so curious about each other in real life. They were intensely curious, and they used that.
He fell in love with her? I think he fell in love with her.
Well, I think it was...
I don't want to get into that.
I think it was more the other way around. Streisand fell a little more in love with him. I think a lot of his leading ladies were guilty of that. But they remained very close friends to the very end. But Streisand was saying that they were intensely curious about each other. And they had this fascination for real, and they used that in their performances. They purposely avoided each other in the very beginning of the filming of the movie and saved it all for when they were in front of the camera. And so she would be looking in his eyes, he'd be looking at hers, and they would be watching the wheels turning and figuring each other out. And we get to be part of that when we watch that movie. I think that's why it's such a classic now.
Well, he said in an interview with Oprah Winfrey that he was a little bit mean to her, and that there was a little bit of a romantic thing, but he didn't want to go into that. I think because he was ending his marriage at the time. His marriage was coming to an end at the time, and I think they did have a little bit of a fling. But he said that the assistant director that had come up to him and said, she's absolutely terrified, Barbara. She would love to meet you. He said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, she meets me when we go to film.
Exactly.
And she was just like, oh, hell, I'm meeting Robert Redford. And he was like, that was exactly how he wanted her to feel. You're big. I am bigger than life, and you are small, and you're this little tiny mousy girl. And so they were able to play off of her genuine fear and awe of him.
Well, you know how Redford referred to it? He said, I wanted it to be organic. That's how he put it. He said, I want us to use all of that in our performances. And so that's why they continued that for a while, of avoiding each other offset and just saving it for when they were on camera. And it's fascinating to watch. You know, and
why did he break up with her like that? It's like, I mean, it's like, what the hell?
Well, I can answer that. There were 2 minutes cut out of The Way We Were. And Streisand was very upset about it. She was so upset that she asked the editor if she could keep the strip of film, the 2 minutes of film. She kept it in her vault. And about a year or two ago, there was a new Blu-ray released of The Way We Were. And Streisand asked, can we put the 2 minutes back in? We'll put both versions of the movie on the disc, but you can see it. Those 2 minutes explain why they had to break up. As you recall, you know, it was about the Red Scare, the McCarthyism. Hubble was a Hollywood studio writer, and Katie's communist socialistic past had come to the surface, as it did for many people during that era. And if Redford stayed married to her, it was going to mean the end of his career. And Katie didn't want him to lose his career. So she said, would you stay with me? Remember, she was pregnant, and she said, will you stay with me until the baby's born? And with those 2 minutes, the movie makes sense, and it becomes 100 times more poignant that they're still in love, but it was for his career. They had to part because of McCarthyism.
Screw the career, man. You got,
well, yeah.
You're getting to be lovey-dovey with Robert Redford, man.
Yeah, I mean, and then of course that famous scene at the end, you know, where they run into each other years later, and Streisand still wipes the hair from his forehead, and he's got a new woman in his life, and she goes, your girl is lovely, Hubble. Remember that? And I know people who told me in the movie theater they just cried at that moment. Hello? Whimsy? I can't hear you. Hello, Whimsy, I can't hear your sound.
Oh, there you go. Sorry.
There you go. Okay, what did you just say?
I was like, get rid of the old bag. Come on, once you go Jewish, you can't go back.
But, you know, Streisand and Redford kept their friendship. Streisand said their very last conversation on the phone, they were both discussing art, and they were, I guess, taking drawing classes, and they agreed he was going to send his drawings to her, and she was going to send hers to him.
Not the same.
I know.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do the Empath's prayer. We'll do some tarot card readings. I'm going to have to get out of here by 6:15 today because I think I have another patient. Do I have a patient at 6:25? I think I do.
I can pull up your schedule if you'd like. You want me to?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think.
Just 1 second here. I've got my iPad in front of me.
Am I done after 6:25?
Just 1 second here. I've got to let this load. Come on, Wi-Fi. Cooperate. Today is the 16th. Whimsy, you have an appointment at 6:25 for a half-hour intuitive reading.
But that's my last one of the day.
That's your last one for the day.
Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead. We'll do the Empath's prayer. If you would like us to pray for you or anyone else, those you love, please give us your name, the name of the person you want us to pray for, and then we will include them in our prayers. And of course, everybody is giving their decision for what they think is their favorite movie. That we have The Great Gatsby, Rockin' Tony Lady.
Yeah.
We have Joel Tilson. Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Martha is going with The Electric Horseman. Nunya is going with A la Natural. Yes.
No votes for Out of Africa?
I had a
with Meryl Streep. I love that one.
A lot of people thought that was boring as hell.
Oh, I loved it.
We have The Sting. Okay. Yeah. And, you know, they say along with Paul Newman, Baroom. Yeah. it's like I've died and gone to heaven. You know, it's like talk about wanting. I'm going to that movie, honey. You know, that's a movie. You're not your girlfriend, wife is not going to argue with you if you take her to see a movie with that, when you've got two men that gorgeous in the same movie.
Bromance.
Yeah. Okay. Let's bring in the Empath prayer.
Okay.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. Amen. And for those of you today who are requesting a healing, we come together at this time and we pray. We pray that for you and for those you love, that they receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And again, together we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. May all souls be healed. Yes, even the Republicans, we don't play that. We are not, this is not a vicious channel. We don't play that going after this person. Okay, so we have a question coming in from Angelina Delgado. Chuck, what are your suggestions of something practical we can do to improve society positively? Any suggestions?
Well, I think it all starts with us individually, and we've talked about this on the show during all of this chaos, cacophony taking place in the world. We have to find our own inner peace, our own self-love. And I've also been preaching to people to find whatever your own art is. You know, it doesn't have to be painting or writing or dancing or acting. It could be cooking in the kitchen, working in your garden. I have a friend who's an accountant who loves numbers. Whatever your art is, what gives you peace and purpose. And I believe collectively, a drop of water makes up an entire ocean. Each of us individually make up this great overall consciousness. And I believe that's how we improve society in general.
Yeah, and I think it starts with self-love and self-care. When all else fails, what are you putting in your body? I really believe if you want a healthy brain, you've got to feed it proper, nutritious food. You've got to love yourself. You've got to take care of yourself. Don't shirk on your responsibilities to yourself. I think there's a huge correlation between, we see violent behavior. We've seen a lot of violence the last couple of weeks, shootings, etc. It all goes back to, are you eating right? Are you taking care of yourself? What are you filling yourself with, whether it's online hate or filling yourself with junk food or anything else? It just starts with instead of going off into an esoteric world, start with just basic self-care and expand from there.
Self-love. Love yourself first.
Yeah. Okay. I've been seeing a lot of videos lately about 3 days of darkness and it being the end and needing to prepare. But is it actually a thing or is it a religious hysteria? I don't know. Do you see 3 days of darkness?
This is the first that I am hearing about this. Maybe our viewers can shed some light on this. I was hoping, Whimsy, you might know more about that.
I don't feel 3 days of darkness. I'm
not feeling that myself.
The closest we're having to World War III is Putin has nuclear weapons and he's trying to, he's been entering NATO airspace with drones and trying to push NATO to go in and respond, which, NATO cannot just sit back and let him bomb NATO countries. There has to be some kind of a consequence.
Yeah.
Maybe he's hoping that China will get involved. Maybe he's hoping that, but the truth of the matter is he's becoming so increasingly isolated that I can't guarantee anyone's going to come to rescue him. North Korea keeps, we'll send you more untrained. North Korea does not have trained soldiers. That's what people need to realize. These are people that march around holding their own people hostage with guns, but they've never had a major war. When was the last time North Korea went to war with anybody?
Why am I thinking? the Korean War in the early 50s was
exactly.
Yeah, that's the last time I can think
and they were given help by Russia, right? So, but Russia's in no position to help them now if they were attacked.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Russia right now, they're down to pulling teenage boys out of school and people out of prisons and stuff. You know, their armies are so depleted right now. They're not really in a position either.
Let's go ahead and look at the calm before the storm with NATO invasion of Russia. Let's see if NATO is going in. Got any new information on that?
Is NATO going into Russia? Is NATO going into Russia? Is NATO going into Russia? I'm getting a no when I asked that to the pendulum. What I'm getting is more about compromise. The partnerships and love comes up, but I get it's more about compromise and truth rather than actually going in and fighting. But the pendulum, I'm going to ask it again. Is NATO going? I'm getting a no. Is NATO going into Russia?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have?
What about going into Ukraine, Belarus?
Oh, that's a good point. Is NATO going into the Ukraine and Belarus? Okay, I'm getting a yes. It's going. It was sort of a maybe in between a no and a yes, and then it started going more towards the yes, but it's not conclusive.
So we have a contract coming in or evidence, building some kind of a blueprint, real estate, but it can also be evidence in a case. And then you have this lovers, which is probably what you were picking up on.
Yeah. I had partnership and love.
Yeah, so partnership and love. Our cards always come out the same. And the issue of the higher ethos, but I think that Ukraine is running out of time, 7 of Wands, and need to defend their territory. They can't just sit around being kumbaya. Eventually, they're going to have to do something. You know, what do they expect? He's their 7 of Wands. And eventually, while it's not showing them necessarily marching on Moscow right now, it's definitely with a 7 of Wands, the pressure is on. They've got to do something to help Zelensky. And now Poland.
Yeah, I apologize. I asked the question wrong. I asked, were they going into Moscow? But when you asked me to ask about the Ukraine, that's when it seems much more of a likelihood.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ukraine started. It's just, but come on, how much longer can Ukraine hold on? They've got to get some help.
Yeah.
7 of Wands isn't good because that's when you're feeling like everybody's coming after you and you're defending your territory.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, it makes much more sense that NATO would come to the aid of Ukraine. Will a member of Trump's cabinet be fired this week? Ooh, who could it be?
Kash Patel?
Well,
Jr.?
There's several here. Should we just do names? I take the pendulum.
Yeah.
Kash Patel. Will Kash Patel be fired this week? Will Kash Patel be fired this week? Well, I'm getting a yes.
Really?
Well, okay, I'm going to ask it. Will Kash Patel be fired this week? I'm getting a yes.
Whoa.
I'm going up.
What about RFK Jr.?
Will RFK Jr. be fired this week? Will RFK Jr. be fired this week? I'm getting a no. Will RFK Jr. be fired next week? It went more toward a yes, and I said next week. But this week I got a no. But I got that on Kash Patel. I'd be curious to see what you're getting, Whimsy.
I just don't think that Trump can stay. I don't know how much longer he can hold on. We've got according to Spirit, 3.5 months from now, he's going to have to make a decision because
definitely by the end of the year.
Well, it's like now it's coming out that his cabinet hates him. This is the latest thing that's coming. They hate him. They're there for power. They're not there. They want to be close to the power. It's not. If a potted plant was the president, they would be saying, "Mr. President, you're doing a great job. You're sitting in that pot. You're sitting in that dirt and getting watered, and you're just sitting there with your leaves and you're doing great. Best FICA I've ever seen in my life, right?" So you have what's going on is world tensions. So it's like the people are still screaming, the war is going on. Now they're bombing Gaza City, and the people are going to Rafah. All this stuff is going on. So you have all this world. You have world at war. The war king, king of wands is, remember what we always say about wands, time and space. That's the way to think about wands. The guy who takes the space, the guy who's the leader of the tribe, King David, who was red, right? Yehuda, who was the head of the tribe, whose great-great-grandson is King David. So Yehuda became the royal family. They became the royal family of the Jews, direct descendants of Yehuda. And then you have patience over the situation and death. Get it together, America. What a freaking walking disaster. You got this crazy president drawing porn pictures of children. I mean, what the hell? Meanwhile, in the real world, there's a freaking wars everywhere. And we've got nut jobs in why is Kash Patel getting any credit for the capture of the kid that assassinated Kirk? I don't get it.
I don't understand. I don't know, Whimsy, do you feel this is correct that he could be fired this week, Kash Patel?
I think Kash Patel is on his way out because of no confidence, and something like 400 FBI agents quit. So they don't, I
didn't realize that 400 agents had quit.
We can check, but my understanding is how many FBI agents have quit in recent weeks. My understanding from Midas Touch is that a ton of them have just walked out. Targeted purges of senior officials happened in August of 2025, and that included 6 senior officials, hundreds of underlings. Morale is low. These incidents have reportedly caused low morale, anxiety. People are walking off the job. Recruitment changes amidst the upheaval. Kash Patel has put forth a plan to lower FBI recruitment. So why would you do that? You would do that so that the criminals can continue to do whatever they want and continue to defraud the American people without the fear that the FBI is going to come after them.
Yeah, I just keep getting this energy of enough is enough. Like people walking off their jobs. It's just enough is enough of this insanity. The people who have been there, people who've been doing this work for years and got thrust into this administration.
Right. And you have 6 seniors walking out on top of that. And so they evidently, when they left, their underlings walked out. Great. We won't have to pay you. I mean, come on. Do we have a freaking FBI or not? It's just so bad right now. It's just so bad right now.
They're trying to write their own narrative. They're trying to push all of this fiction on us. Like what's going on right now about the Democrats, the woke people, the liberal people, the left. We're the ones who are evil. We're the ones who are causing all these shootings. They're trying to push narratives like that. But what is Trump's position on the war in Ukraine? Offhand, I think Trump's position is always about whatever is in it for him. What's in it for him? I don't think he gives a damn about humanity, a damn about the people themselves. But his actual position in the war in Ukraine, Whimsy, what do you think?
I think that the oligarchs have lost confidence in Putin, and that Putin is increasingly isolated, in which case even MBS, Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, doesn't want to work with Putin. So since Putin is out the door, there's no reason for Trump to be loyal to him. What is he going to do? Say, I've got dirty pictures of you with children? Well, we already know that. We already know he would say. Everything is, the cat's out of the bag. He's in the birthday book. He's in the emails that they're saying Kirk's name. And the people heading this are Republicans. I mean, I'm telling you, this guy's not long for this world in the White House.
No. I'm thinking about Putin. Remember when he used to have the PP tapes? Remember that was the big thing.
Who cares?
That's like nothing.
This guy draws pictures of prepubescent kids and signs it as trying to squiggle their pubic hair. That's what he's done to the American. I think they love it in Russia. Let the horrible Americans see how terrible their president is. We're the laughing stocks of the world.
Sure. I think this is all part of their higher plan. Good question here. What is the purpose of Trump's state visit to England?
I think it's just, isn't it just we have to go to Britain to show our loyalty since...
That's kind of what I feel. It's like it's more for show than anything else.
Yeah, I don't think, yeah, I mean, we still like you.
Well, supposedly Prince Charles can't stand him.
Yeah, but I mean, like America, and we have to still say
King Charles. I'm sorry,
King Charles. Well, we're still loyal to Britain, and
yeah,
we haven't turned. Intuitive Kathy says, "I know we all transition at some point, but I'm still heartbroken over the death of Robert Redford." Yeah, gosh, what a hottie he was.
Well, he was quite beloved, and he was also a man of substance. He admitted many times he got cast in roles because of his good looks, but once he got the roles, he was much more about going into the character, bringing out the flaws, bringing out the complexities of the character. That's what happened with The Way We Were. He originally turned that down twice, and because he thought Hubble was too shallow. He was basically a prop for Streisand, and at Streisand's insistence, they rewrote the script to beef it up in his favor, to make his character more complicated and flawed. So that made him more interesting.
Well, he became a sellout politician in a way.
The character, you mean Hubble?
Yeah, I mean,
he did.
A guy, he'd make a good senator. The guy that was willing to sell out his wife and kid in order to have power.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I took it.
In fact, they even wrote that into the script about how he coasted on his pretty boy looks. I think it was mentioned when they were in college together. He was 36 and she was 32, and they were college students. But aside from that absurdity, he wrote something where he said, "Everything always comes easily to me." And I think later in the movie, Katie says, "Do things still come easily to you, Hubble?" Because they were in the real world now. They were out of college. They were in Hollywood. They were in the thick of it.
Wow. That's so crazy.
I want to watch that movie again tonight. I have it on
Blu-ray. Sexy movie.
Yeah.
All right. What does Anna say here?
Question. Everyone is losing jobs, homes, everything. Will there be a light at the end of the tunnel?
Let's take a look. Anybody have any confidence in the president right now?
I don't think so. What is it? Something like 6 out of 10 people disapprove of him?
I think it's worse than that.
Oh, I think it's much worse too. But the question is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
And are you getting any positive about the jobs report, or inflation is through the roof because we're absorbing these tariffs?
I'm getting ultimately it's going to get better, but it's going to be complicated along the way. There's so much right now that is broken. It's going to probably take at least 2 generations to fix under the best of circumstances. But my cards were kind of setting up the scenario here of right now, shadow, exhaustion. People are just worn out. People have just had too much. A lot of this has come because there's been a lot of denial. That's why a lot of this has come to the surface. And there has to be a death of old ways first. And then I got cards that kind of reflect what you were talking about how it's about us individually. I mentioned that, you mentioned it, how, you said we got to take care of our physical bodies. We've got to be disciplined. We've got to call upon our family, our community. Ultimately, though, my final card, I wanted a card that concluded this. I got gifts. Like, we're going to learn great lessons. There are going to be great gifts out of this. Ultimately, we are going to be a lot better off for this, but it's going to be complicated getting there. It's not going to be a quick fix. That's what I'm getting from my cards.
Yeah, so I have that the hurricane season is going to be bad. I think that around October, we're going to be seeing really bad weather, storms, etc.
Yeah.
We have to batten our hatches now. Make sure you've got a good pantry. Everybody know about how to cook from scratch, and make sure you got your beans, you got your rice. You're ready to hunker down for a nice winter's nap, because the night of swords is coming. And that is violent, chaotic winds, angry, bull in the china shop. It presents as our opposition. It can be viruses, storms, bad weather, and then the people having to defend themselves. So on top of having to deal with the economic crisis, there could be a major environmental disaster as well. So while we're dealing with all of this, we could be hit by another Katrina.
You know what I'm thinking also? Haven't we lost a lot of our weather forecasting ability because of these budget cuts? Weathermen can't predict with the same accuracy they once could when a hurricane was coming in.
It's very possible, because this is bad. I can tell you, I'm just going to be honest with you. This and defending ourselves against this attack from the wind. The good news is that our finances are going to break through with an Ace of Pentacles. But if we don't go up to bat against the wealthy in this country, and I'm not saying all wealthy, because I'm not out to bash all wealthy.
Exactly. There are some very good wealthy people.
Talking about the
great
people,
philanthropists.
We've got to take control of the crazy and get our country back, because if we don't, they're robbing us blind. Now they're celebrating the fact that they fired our police. They fired the FBI, 400 walking out, 6 senior officers. What the hell are we doing?
This isn't what our country was founded on.
Anarchy. Isn't it great? We're going to have anarchy.
This isn't what our country was founded upon. I mean, what they're doing right now, they're taking money away from the poor and the middle class and giving it to the ultra rich and leaving people destitute. It's insanity. It's beyond insanity. I just don't see how the universe can possibly support this much longer. It has to implode upon itself.
And maybe we need to. Oops, he froze a little bit. He'll be back. He froze a little bit. But maybe that's what needs to happen. It all needs to collapse.
Well,
and before it gets better.
I think that's what I was getting in that scenario in the cards. It's like it's going to be really bad, but through our taking care of ourselves, through our unity, our family, our community, if we hold on, we're ultimately going to survive this and be better for it. I mean, Whimsy, are you seeing ultimately, like I did, I saw that last card, gifts, like we are going to come out of this ultimately?
Ace of Pentacles is like large sums of money. I mean, the truth of the matter is we have to shame the corporations. We have to shame the CEOs. We need to get their list. The people that are giving themselves salaries that are 2,000 percentage points above everybody else, drag them out and shame them, tar and feather. I'm euphemistic.
I know you don't mean that literally.
And we need to call them out, because the only thing narcissists care about is looking good.
Yeah,
certainly. And the only thing we have to shame them, and we have to. This, if nothing else, what we got from this nightmare is we got more people actively involved in becoming political. We can't put our head in the sand.
Exactly. We're being called forward whether we like it or not. There's no choice.
And also the Democrats. I mean, the Democrats are not perfect. They're also have lobbies that are telling them, big pharma and insurance companies and everything else, rather than moving towards holistic, integrated, cost-effective, affordable, the power that the pharmaceutical companies have. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And the power that Facebook and Google have and X. Nobody should have this much power.
I believe it ultimately has to balance out, and it will balance out eventually, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Joel Tilson, Hamas using hostages as human shield. Hamas, pardon me, please.
Said hummus.
Did I say hummus? Oh, God. So sorry, folks. Hamas using hostages as human shields.
Because the last place we've taken, Israel has taken 75% of Gaza. No, it's not a genocide. That's what I keep trying to tell people. This is not a genocide. It's the fall of Hamas. And what scares me as somebody who's like in the middle of this is, in terms of just trying to help with the rebuild, is that people really believe they're right. And that's what I think is so terrifying about all this, is how much disinformation there is and how convinced people are, really convinced that this is real, that there's and what it is it's the fall of Hamas. It's not the fall of the people of Gaza, it's the fall of the terrorists, and their money is coming from Qatar, and Qatar has been, promoting basically kill all the Jews. If you look at the Hamas charter, it was about, we're going to go behind every tree and kill every Jew. And that's what they did on October 7th. And so they took 250 hostages. Most of them they starved to death or murdered into holes underground. And now they've taken them out from underground to be used as human shields. These are people that I think it's beyond, if you're a lefty like I am, it is beyond your wildest imagination what kind of people we're talking about. It's not your world. And it's not Kansas. So what they're doing is that they are, people who are not part of the fighting are going to, you can see here's a letter. Zone 1 development plan, timeline, profitability, and IDF implementation was sent to General Staff Israeli Defenses with a CC to the Minister of Defense from Dr. Whimsy Anderson, the anthropologist, and it's dated March 10th, 2025. Subject was the comprehensive plan for Zone 1 timeline to maximum capacity, profitability, and IDF feasibility, executive plan. And you can see North Sinai, Ashuk of Bedouin tourism. So the area that they're being sent to that's where the money is being donated for the rebuild. So what is being built in Zone 1, which is Gaza and North Sinai, they're planning Ashuk, a Bedouin tourism hub, art classes, a museum and university campus focusing on biodiversity, Bedouin culture, husbandry, artwork, ancient history, archaeological findings. I don't know why it says real tours. Ancient dialects, clan systems, economic systems, tribal affiliation, eco-farming with land rented from President El-Sisi. Zone 1 will grow from a pilot program of 5,000 in the third quarter to housing 1.7 million. So right now, people are moving to Malwasi and Gaza, and the terrorists are being separated. And then this is what you're seeing here is the rebuild. So Rafah will expand with an additional 480 kilometers rented from El-Sisi, starting with 500 acres. Maximum capacity will be 1.7 million. This is the actual plan. So as you can see, there's no plan here for a genocide. There is a plan on moving people away from the war zone because El-Sisi will not open the gate and let the people out. So the people are trapped. They can't get out. And it's the only way that we tried multiple times to get the president of Egypt to open the gate, and he will not open the gate. And so what happened was the people were trapped in the middle of a war. So people went to, let me see if I can find that, but we sent people to Malwasi and now to Rafah. But Rafah, we have the gate there, and the president, El-Sisi, will not open the gate until Hamas is defeated, and that'll probably happen in the next couple of months. So the only thing that they have left is the hostages, and so they've taken them out from. This is the rebuilding through the Abraham values. This is the last one I sent on the 10th. And that the program was launched November 23rd. We have a pledge of between 16 billion and 23 billion for the rebuild. And you can see it was a response to the October 7th massacres. And I think I've got down here the 6 zones. Here's the 6 zones. So we're talking about Zone 1, which is a humanitarian and cultural hub in Rafah, North Sinai. And so I'm very proud that I could contribute to this. But that's the reason. So this is the reason why we're sending people to Rafah. And I feel like it's safe enough, since we're this far along in the process, that I can go ahead and show people the actual documents. But so this initial phase, third quarter 2025 in Rafah, is where we're headed. You can see the documentation here. This was March 10th, 2025. And you can see that we will also be beginning to build their subway. The people of Gaza will have a subway. It's called the Max Line. We'll have clinics built. And yeah, this is the whole plan. And we're putting up prefab homes initially, 2 to 5 billion eco apartments. And this is the whole plan here. The pilot program, we may also open up in the Negev a second home with another transportation system opening up between Gaza and the Negev. Yeah. So, did I put it up for people? Yeah, I did. So so it's bloody and horrible because Hamas is bloody and horrible. Yeah. But I can tell you, I'm not trying to commit genocide. We're trying to get people out of Gaza City into Rafah and North Sinai, so we can create the rebuild and separate the people from these terrorists and give them a good life. So that's
the key, a good life.
We want you to have a good life, but people need to stop killing each other, and it's not going to happen until Hamas is gone. They won't surrender. That's the main problem, is they will not surrender. And they've got 20 people left alive out of 250. We were able to get a couple dozen out, but it's pretty horrible. These are horrible people, and Qatar and Iran are 100% responsible. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Joel Tilson, removing money from all political offices will heal America. Citizens United reversed. How hard is it going to be for us to do that, Chuck?
I think my first thought is that's impossible. Could that even be done? I mean, there would be so much rebellion, so much resistance, first of all.
We have to stop wasting our time. This is what I feel. I feel like we have to stop wasting our time fighting with politicians and go directly after the people that are pulling the strings.
Yeah.
And we have to start calling out their names and holding these shadowy lobbying groups like the Heritage Foundation, America First. They're hiding their names. They've got, we don't know where the money's coming from. I'm not okay with that. Find out who these people are. The Koch brothers, just drag out expose them all.
Well, this comes back to us, the people. We've got to take charge. We've got to fight. We've got to do this, because certainly our representatives don't seem to be doing it. They don't seem to be in our favor at all. So we've got to take action.
Well, you're talking to a proud Zionist Jew and an Israeli, so this is probably not the channel for you if you think I'm engaging in genocide. So we wish you all the best, but you're no longer going to be here. Have a nice life. All right. Did you have fun, Chuck?
Yes, I did, Whimsy. I love doing this show with you, and I love being with all of you out there.
We can agree to disagree without,
Yes,
but we need to get our facts straight. And since I'm the one that wrote the rebuild, and I'm pretty close to 100% sure that I did influence the rebuild.
Yes,
you can trust me when I say my intention is not genocide.
Definitely not.
Not even close. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you're Chuck, if they're trying to get in for a reading with you.
Well, you see my name there at the bottom. It's just Dransfield Chuck, one word, @gmail.com. You can always reach me. I love hearing from you. I love doing readings for you. And also I get commissioned to do artwork. I do I think you came up with the term soul portrait before I did, but I'm very good at looking at a photograph, reading the energy of that person in their eyes. And as I'm doing the portrait, the artwork, and I just recently did this for a cat, I can often have messages for you in addition to your portrait. So hit me up if you're interested.
Yeah.
Oh, and also Chuck's captivating chat on Mondays. How could I forget that? 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles.
Cool. Okay. Yes. It's a lot of fun. And if you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can go ahead and find all that information below. Sometimes we disagree here, but I get a little, when people say things, when people parrot things that are not the truth, and I put my, Chuck knows, I had a breakdown writing this rebuild and begging people. You
put your heart and soul into this.
I put my heart and soul, and I just sent again the rebuild to the Arab League that's meeting in, I think they're meeting in Qatar, if I'm not mistaken, trying to get everybody motivated about building oasis zones of peace between Israel, Gaza, and all the Arab nations, and a closed transportation system of peace, a caravan, a modern caravan with oasis. And I truly believe in what was created. I think that spirit is behind it. I think that war is hell. But there's also a lot of stuff that's just not true about what's going on. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong. It's terrible. But and we just, the sooner that Hamas leaves, the sooner, and the hostages are returned, the sooner that the war will end, when Hamas surrenders and gives the hostages back. That is when this ends, unfortunately. All right, everyone. So good to see you here. And thank you for your love and support.
Thank you.
Kind to all, so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See you Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you.